Good morning, Bikini Bottom. So, I never covered Ruins of Alph Premier League before, and it's like SPL, but instead of having all generations, it's only generations 1 until 5. And there's typically 2 slots for each generation, which means you can have a slightly deeper pool for every tier. And there's the best of 1 slot and the best of 3 slot. Okay. And we have Gorgie, that is representing the Mauville Magnetons, and Shiloh, that is representing the whatever Reuniclus is. I don't know, it's too long. So, both are pretty good players. I've seen Shiloh a number of times play. Gorgie really doesn't need an introduction, but he's basically one of the most crackhead builders out there. All right, so best of 3. Let's get into this. This is week 1 of Ruins of Alph Premier League. We got a Lax versus Eggy lead, and we are going to commentate bit by bit. We do see a Sleep Powder, but it does miss. It doesn't connect, and Zapdos comes in. So we have, so Gorgie has Eggy and Raikou. It's an offense team. It probably has a physical sweeper, or it could have a Vaporeon, depending on the case. But yeah, Raikou gives a lot of backbone to against special attackers. There's a big crit there with a para. Okay, the Zapdos here is in trouble. All right. So in comes Cloyster. That's a very fast double switch from Gorgie, predicting that the Zapdos would come out. So he gets the spikes first, and he's right back on the offense there. Shiloh is responding, and we see that his electric switch of choice is STEELIX. STEELIX becoming more prominent lately, being one of the better checks against Earthquake Snorlax. So Chloe comes in, and we see a Starmie. Okay, Starmie on offense. Yeah, not unheard of. Not unheard of. All right. All right. So there's a Rapid Spin. Okay. Okay, and a Boom. Okay, so what does that mean? Something... Gorgie probably wanted something out of the way, wanted possibly the Starmie there, so maybe there's something that wants Psychic type to be gone. And Eggy just opting to stay in here, forcing the Lax to use Rest, being unpredictable. So Gorgie isn't just immediately letting it rip on that Snorlax. So that might actually be to play cautious here. And he's going on the offensive immediately with the Lax. In comes Cloyster. We're probably going to see a new Pokemon or Raikou come in again. So there's the new Pokemon because of the threat of Boom. Cloyster comes in, goes for the... Cloyster uses Toxic, but it doesn't really matter if it misses or not. Hidden Power. That was probably a Hidden Power Water to hit the STEELIX. Okay. Zapdos double with the Lax. Zapdos is slower right now, so it can't stay in. So Shiloh has to go to Cloyster. It gets a big crit. And this is putting Shiloh in an ugly spot right now. And Gorgie even catches a Boom there. So this Gengar is even more threatening right now. Okay, so Shiloh uses Curse. Okay. So, ooh, wow, that was a very good explosion. So this is so many explosions, huh? So many explosions on Gorgie's team. That's usually how to make your team thrive. This Exeggutor is even more threatening, and that's why you don't always want to explode turn 1. Okay. So Shiloh explodes. Does he have something like a Machamp? It would look like that, right? Machamp seems like the pick. He does successfully manage to use Rest. Okay. This is a very fast game. The only thing I can say is Starmie using Spin on offense might be to benefit the Curse Lax. So it's not super common, but not unheard of. Conflict is a player who likes to use Starmie on offense sometimes with Curse Lax and STEELIX to compound and sort of upend that problem against Electrics. So I think that's nicer in some cases than Golem, because Golem is trying to fulfill too many roles at once, trying to fit too many shoes. Okay, so probably, yeah, okay, so Raikou is paralyzed now. Shiloh probably wants either the Zapdos to die, well, not die, but he wants to get a 1v1 out of this, get lucky. And then he comes in with Machamp on a good predicted rest turn there. But, unfortunate for him, Gorgie seems to have the perfect matchup with Espeon. They're not going to set up here. Hidden Power. I wonder if that was a roll. But Shiloh forfeits and Gorgie wins the first game. He was pretty much in control for most of the time there. Would I say that it was decisive? There was a lot of aggression. So there could have been a turnaround there had it been a different Pokemon. So Curse Machamp has a pretty positive matchup against certain Gengar sets because it's a little bulkier than Gengar is, and at +1 it can OHKO with the spikes. So that could have been pretty bad, but he had the perfect Mon in the back. So okay, game 2, and we have this time Zapdos versus Smeargle, and Gorgie is a very notable Smeargle user, but he doesn't stay in this time. Okay, that's pretty interesting. So he's going to opt to go straight to Curse Lax here. And we see Shiloh has a move for that. He has Reflect, allowing him to phase Gorgie out and make him lose momentum rather than having to dance around Curse Lax. Which I like. I like the Reflect Zapdos. I love the utility. I love the Whirlwind. I love how it pairs with Raikou. So, in fact, I like it even better than I like Roarku plus Rest Talk Zap. Okay. And he gets a para, so this Smeargle is in trouble. Gorgie doesn't want to let it simply die because he would like to get spikes. So, but that turn was actually, that sequence was really beneficial so far, as he gets his Fortress in, and Smeargle does manage to come in here. But what will Shiloh do? Shiloh's going to go to Zap. And Gorgie doubling back. Okay. Interesting. If I'm Shiloh, I Reflect here, because Reflect makes you survive Explosion. And just in general, STEELIX doesn't want to stay in. But it looks like we saw a Hidden Power Ice Reflect Whirlwind Zapdos. So that's interesting too. Snorlax coming in. Snorlax has to be wary of using too many curses behind Reflect. Because if it uses too many, then there's going to be an overflow glitch. And so you'll see this with Marowak, with Thick Club. Marowak must have 13 attack DVs because if it uses one Swords Dance, it goes beyond 999, and then its attack becomes 9. And But it can happen with defense as well, so if reflect is in play. Oh shit, I zoned out. Holy fuck. I forgot I was recording. I completely just... What the hell? Where the hell was I? So, oh yeah, the reflect. Okay, he sets up. Okay, so yeah. My bad. Let's take it from here. STEELIX comes in, and that never happened to me before. Okay, so Vaporeon gets roared in. Okay, that's cool. I like this. I like this a lot. This team so far is looking pretty good. Vaporeon basically managing to be a big threat for last mon Snorlax if it is acid armor. If it's not, then it's still pretty solid anyways. I don't know what went through Shiloh's head in building. I'm not on their team. I'm in this tournament as well, so that's pretty cool. STEELIX comes in, okay. We don't have much to say about the Starmie, except that it's probably Rapid Spin. So another case of Starmie on offense, but this time on the opposite team. Gorgie probably just trying to scout a bit and waste the reflect turns to be a little more threatening, or get a good sequence to just bring in his Zapdos. Okay, so the Raikou is threatening with a 3-hit KO. Thunder, really strong. And brushes off those hits from the Zapdos. T-Tar coming in. Okay. I like this team. Marowak. All right, let's go. We fucking love Marowak. All right. Zappy. Yeah, Marowak can OHKO the T-Tar. So Zap is a pretty good pick, but it's always scary. Marowak is always terrifying. So, it's just unfortunate that Gorgie did not manage to get anything off with that Smeargle. I think he's hoping for a rest turn or something, and he can't quite stay in on the Zapdos this turn, so he has to go to STEELIX. Okay, so a reason why Shiloh isn't trying to make a prediction with Hidden Power is because he can always just chip the STEELIX and he's safe behind the Reflect. So this gives him a lot more momentum. He doesn't have to make aggressive plays here. I mean, he has to do a little bit, but not too much. And this team is so good. 4A plus T-Tar is so good in this meta right now. Because the 4A is really good at coming in on Snorlax. And the Reflect fits just nicely with the Whirlwind, making Zapdos the phaser. And T-Tar can go on the offensive, and it's, you know, they check each other's awkward matchups. STEELIX is good against Gengar, so. Okay, this is okay, so he gets an Earthquake off. Gorgie is losing a lot of HP, and as we can see, his team does not have a lot of longevity. Rest STEELIX? What? 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 Okay. I've seen that before. So that must be Iron Tail. right? I've never seen... Yeah, no, that has to be Iron Tail. That's the only... I've seen... I haven't seen that in years. Jesus Christ. Okay, so Crunch and Earthquake Tar. This is an all-out attacking T-Tar. It's not Screech. And it's forcing so many switches. And this is where T-Tar really shines. It's aggressive. It's more in its offense than than its defensive purposes. So putting Snorlax in this awkward position right now. Shiloh is gonna go to Zapdos here. I'm gonna click the Reflect because that is a no-brainer. No, he goes for T-Bolt. Okay. All right. Oh, and he gets paralyzed. Okay, that's not so great. That's uncomfortable. That could be a big factor later. He does go back to his Zapdos. He knows that the Lax is asleep, so he can use Whirlwind or Reflect. He probably wants the Reflect more than the Whirlwind, but now that's going to deal a hefty amount. Whirlwind. All right. So this STEELIX has the weird quality of being able to wall Hidden Power Ice Zapdos. And it can use Curse until it eventually snowballs out of control. So if I'm Shiloh, I'm clicking Toxic. Yeah. All right. And I guess I'll just stay in. Try to bide some time. Yeah. Dealing abysmal damage here. If you can even call it damage. The 1%. Feeling like Bernie Sanders, always concerned about the 1%. All right, so this is turning out to be interesting. Okay, so the Snorlax uses Rest, and the Fori explodes. Okay, if there is a time to use Acid Armor, it might be now. Oh, and it's Growth Hydro Pump. Oh no, the 1% is coming back to haunt Shiloh. But Vaporeon hangs in there. If that were Double-Edged, this would have been a very different picture right now. Well, actually, it did do its work. So the threat of Snorlax is... We'll see. We'll see if it's gone. So Vaporeon landing all these Hydro Pumps managed to take out 2 Pokemon. Almost 3. Raikou coming in. This is turning out to be interesting. So spikes are completely rid from the field. And the way this is playing out is pretty interesting. Okay. So it's in Hidden Power range now. Has to go to STEELIX. But that's just a free entry spot for Vaporeon. 35%. I mean, STEELIX isn't really that threatening immediately. It's in the... It's a sweeper. That's all it is. So Shiloh is going to try and get some HP back. Makes sense to me. Every turn he stays in, the Zapdos becomes more healthy. Vaporeon, yeah, good idea. Good idea. Oh, and Gorgie, just like that, brings in the Marowak because he's counting on his Snorlax probably to survive. That's an unfortunate sacrifice. But it's also interesting because it's an interesting choice. It's an interesting choice because then what do you have to beat the Snorlax? So, Curse Iron Tail, man. I hope we get to see it, but I don't know if we will. This matchup isn't looking very good for Gorgie, and yeah, I don't know if the move will ever come out. This could be an offensive Snorlax. Just by virtue of it. Oh, and it's Flamethrower. Yeah, I don't know. I don't really know what's going to happen here. Okay. Zap. Yeah, Gorgie is in trouble. Zap goes down. Okay, well, now it's pretty much over. I don't know what to expect. Oh, wait, yeah, Snorlax is still in this game. Okay, okay. So he goes to Curselax. He's going to have to survive somehow. Okay. He's getting hit. Lax is dead. So this doesn't really work. This doesn't work for Gorgie. I think this game is over. Flamethrower and a burn. Yeah, this is over. He wants the Licks to go down so he can sweep with Snorlax, and he gets a good turn. That's why he faces the Zapdos in, because the Snorlax could survive, but it's not really going to be able to do that much. So he goes for a Curse. Interesting prediction there. So that gives him one leg up, and he could kind of rest if he wants, but he would have to 1v5. I mean, if there's any mon that can do it, it's this one, but no, it's just going to go down. Gets crit. Okay, so interesting teams. It's a shame we didn't get to see Iron Tails STEELIX. All right, game 2. Or 3. Game 3. Eggy versus Fori lead. Okay, in comes the Hera. Hera is a sleep talker, so not exactly an easy switch, but on turn 1, I guess that would make sense. Fori and Cloy come in. Fori putting Cloyster on a timer, but also getting its spikes, and Cloyster getting its spikes first. So we see Fori, Hera, Missy. Well, this is a stall team. Yeah. And Cloyster staying in on Misdreavus. That's very, okay. Very interesting, to say the least. Zapdos is going to force in this Raikou. So, this is, well, the last mon is Snorlax, right? So, we don't have a Skarmory on this stall team. I've seen something like this before. With, I've seen Earthworm build similar squads. So, I feel like the Ghost plus Steel typing is nice. And the Heracross kind of lets you face lots of different physical offense threats. Especially T-Tar, or Nidoking, or Machamp. So Gorgie has a bit of backbone here. He can wiggle. He has some wiggle room. And Misdreavus. Okay, we're gonna see what this Misdreavus can do. Or not. Or not. Just some double switches so far. And a Hera. Just switching around. Riveting action. Alright. So we did see a Toxic. That's all we know so far. And it looks like Shiloh's team is kind of weak to Toxic. Eggy Golem teams usually only have Zapdos as an effective switch-in for Toxic. So this is in Gorgie's court right now. He's doing pretty well. No Lax, no Skarm. Wow. Okay. Wife of Ciano. Why does that feel like I've heard of that? Okay. So it's the heal bell. Okay, coming in helpful here. Zap. All right. T-wave zap. So 2 phasers. Oh, an ice beam. All right, all right. This is very tough for Shiloh right now, but he's getting a stun spore, so he's trying to set up for something in the back. If it is Vaporeon, then Gorgie could have a really bad time. And if it... So he booms on the Blissey. Okay. So I'm thinking special offense in the back. Or maybe he just wants the status to stick and he couldn't see a better time to do it than there. So Snorlax. Not an unwise choice in this matchup where Gorgie is probably going to try and play the long game. So Shiloh has to act fast. Because the more time he gives, the fewer options he has. Comes in aggressively on the Fortress. All right. Shiloh knows what he's doing. Okay, so he could explode here, but I don't know if that's what he wants. We'll see. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Maybe there's a physical attacker. We still haven't ruled. We still don't know. But we're about to find out, probably. This Heracross is looking pretty scary. Pretty scary. And it's Seismic Toss. Okay. Seismic Toss on Heracross. All right. Now, it's actually pretty nice because the Zapdos is Whirlwind, so it does fixed damage. Unresisted. So the Lax is on a timer. The Heracross is paralyzed. And the Golem might want to spin. Or explode. He's going to get some damage, okay. Yeah. Spins, okay. If there's a time to bring in your sweeper, it might be right now. Okay. And there it is. There's the sweeper. Coming in on a turn against a paralyzed Heracross. So Marowak. Okay, I said special offense, but nope. He just wanted to make sure that all of those status moves would stick. And this is the power of T-Wave. So that's extremely dangerous. The fact that Gorgie chose a non-Skarmory team looks like it's coming back to bite him in this specific matchup. What are you going to do? You can't always have the best matchup. So, if I'm Marowak here, I want to use Swords Dance. Okay, he goes for Fire Blast. All right. Still not a bad pick. Marowak is faster than Fori. Okay, Zapdos goes down. So what happens next? Golem. All right. EQ. Marowak. Nice. Nice. This is free damage. Setup, yeah. Okay. Moment of truth. I think Gorgie is cooked here. I deserve to crit, in my opinion. All right. Go for it. No. Raikou goes down. Hera could still make it. Nope. One more shot. It really is down to this. Zeril help. He's calling upon the creator of Pokemon Showdown. No, it doesn't work. All right, then. All right. GG's, man. That was an interesting matchup. I find that pretty cool. So I hope you guys enjoyed. This was the first time I ever commented this tournament. I don't expect me to upload consistently on this and do coverage on this tour, but it's pretty cool. I figured I would do it once, you know, just for the channel's sake. I'm gonna go get lunch. See ya.